I gotta read this
Okay.
thing.
Huh?
You want to?
Yes. Uh, just to cover yourself. I mean, if you don't want to do recommendations, then
Okay, I'm live.
okay.
Hang on for 1 minute. Live on the
So am I. Uh-oh. It's on you, Mr. McIntosh. Sorry.
Okay, you Vernon ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. We got a lot to talk about tonight, but first we'll go to our host, Mr. Derek Scott, um, Gia Lewis Daniels, Dr. Brunis, and Jamil Davis. And of course, where you're watching this program, Vernon Watson, WBQP TV on Fire Stick, Roku, YouTube, and of course, uh, all of our social media platform, Facebook, and others. So we'll get right to it, Derek.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. We're going to share a little bit about what we hear is going on in our respective counties. So I am going to start with Jill. If you will go ahead and tell us what you know about what's happening in Okaloosa County.
Well, good evening, everyone. It is super great to be here as Jill Lewis Daggs today, and I am welcoming all of you to the show. It's good to have Mr. McIntosh back, and it's good to be here with Christina, Jamil, BJ, and Derek. So, and Vernon, of course. Um, so, in Okaloosa County, I have been told that we have a fabulous opportunity coming up on this Tuesday. One of the senatorial candidates, Angie Nixon, will be at Cracker Barrel in Crestview from 10 until 12. And so we encourage everyone to come out. I'm going to take that opportunity and be there and listen to what she has to say, and hope that others will join me and give us the opportunity to hear from a candidate that speaks to the issues and that's willing to fight for us. In addition to that, on Saturday, and I'm sure Derek and his Panhandle Coalition status will go over that, we have Equal Ground coming in. As many of you know, we started about 4 years ago, and Equal Ground comes in and they do a debrief session from everything that happened in the legislation. And so they started in Pensacola about 4 years ago, and we have been blessed to move from Pensacola to Santa Rosa, then to Okaloosa, and now we are back in Pensacola. That is August 1st. I'm sure we will get you the address and all that. And doors open at 8:30. Breakfast is served first. Their session will start 10 to 12. And then as concerned constituents and voters, we are going to have a session afterwards where we're opening the floor for a conversation to talk about what needs to be done, how we can collaborate, how we can ensure that we are educated on who to vote for, and what they stand for, and then what work can we possibly do as individuals or collectively as a team to help others get to the polls, understand that there's a primary, and all of those good things. And I think for this evening, that is what I have for you. And so I'm just honored to be here as a concerned citizen from Okaloosa County. Thank you so much.
you, Jill. I appreciate that for sharing us what you know of what's happening in Okaloosa County. Next, I will go to a combination of folks in Santa Rosa County who will be able to share what they hear is happening in Santa Rosa County. So I will turn it over to both BJ and Christina.
You want me to go first, Christina? Okay. So, hi, everybody. I am BJ, and I'm also here as a private citizen. In Santa Rosa County. We are also going to be having a visit from the U.S. Senate candidate Angie Nixon. She will be at Pedro's in Gulf Breeze, which is located on Highway 98. She's making a stop at Pedro's on Wednesday, from Wednesday morning. So it's going to be breakfast with the candidate. So it's basically from about 10 to noon. It sounds like they want everybody to be there by about 9:30. And then that way, you can mingle. You can also meet some other candidates who plan to use that event as also an opportunity to meet voters from the Gulf Breeze area. And so if you want to hear from a candidate who wants to represent this county, as well as candidates who want to represent the area at the state legislative level, I would definitely make it a point to come to this area, because it's not often that we get these candidates that come to, Gulf Breeze and places like Milton and Crestview. So that's important. That is extremely important. So we know that candidates who are, at least in my personal opinion, we know that candidates who take the time to meet with voters, not just at the big hubs, but also in the tiny places that are also doing the work, if not with 10 times harder, with 10 times less resources. So when candidates take the time to come and prioritize those exact same constituents and value them just as much as they value the big metropolitan centers, where I'm certainly appreciative of that. So yeah, come on out, because I'll be there.
Yeah, I am super excited about the event on Wednesday at Pedro's in Gulf Breeze, and super excited about the Equal Ground event that's going to be coming up that I'm sure is going to be talked about. So just encouraging everybody who is interested in change, everybody wants to know more about what's on their ballot, what's going on, to please come out, engage. There's room for you, there's space for you, bring a friend. We are going to have to all come together if we really want to see change. So just super, super excited about that, and want to thank everybody who made that event possible.
Thank you so very much, Christina. I guess I will share of what I understand is happening this week in Escambia County. There are quite a few things that folks who are wanting to be engaged and understand what's happening in Escambia County, particularly with candidates, I would recommend that you attend. And the first of which starts on Monday. There is a school board forum that is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Pensacola Bay. That's going to be for school board candidates who are in Escambia as well as Santa Rosa County. And it is occurring which is tomorrow at 4 p.m. at the Spring Street Library, which is located at 239 North Spring Street. I know that I will certainly be there because I'd like to hear a lot of from the school board candidates and see. And this is your opportunity if you're unclear of who they are and where they're, what their positions are. This is your opportunity to come out and hear them. And then I know we talked a lot about, but I'm excited that I'm understanding that a statewide senatorial candidate is coming to Pensacola, Angie Nixon. And as I understand, looking on it, there are a series of events that you can take place in and take part of in Santa Rosa County. I'm sorry, in Escambia County. The first of which is happening on a Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. There is a chat and chew with Senate candidate Angie Nixon, and that's going to be at the Ella Jordan African American Museum, which is located at 423 North C Street here in Pensacola, and that's at 1:30 p.m. I'm not sure. Hopefully, Mr. Vernon can make it, and maybe Mr. Vernon will cover the event and live stream or broadcast if you can't make it, or at least record it so that folks who may be able to see it at a later point in time can do so. But that is at 1:30. And then at 3:30.
Derek, hold on. What time and where?
1:30 at the Ella Jordan African American History Museum House.
What day is it?
Tuesday, July the 28th. This Tuesday.
Tuesday at 1:00.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
July 30th, right?
No, 28th. 28th.
July 28th. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then at 3:00, there's an opportunity. If you've never knocked doors, you can knock doors with some of the folks who are interested in knocking doors with Angie Nixon. She's going to be knocking doors in Woodland Heights, and that's at 3:30 p.m. And then there's going to be a rally at the Black Cafe and Bookstore, which is located at 3498 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. And that's at 6 p.m. And then if none of those other opportunities come out, there is a fun time to kick back and hang out with a Senate candidate where you can do some karaoke. And that's going to be at 8 p.m. at 1216 North, which is 1216 North 9th Avenue. And that's here in Pensacola. So please, if you're interested, it's a great opportunity. This, like I said, this is the first time, or not the first time, but very rarely do candidates at the statewide level come to Pensacola. And this is a good time to hear from senatorial candidate Angie Nixon. If you're unfamiliar with who she is, she represents the wonderful county known as Duval. And she's been a fighter, as I understand, from folks who live in that county. So please make sure you join them. Then on Wednesday, the League of Women Voters is having a mayoral forum. So if you've not familiarized yourself with who the candidates running to be the next mayor of the city of Pensacola, this is your opportunity to come out and do that. And that's at Wednesday, and that's on the 29th of July. And that is at 4 p.m. And that too is at the downtown library located at 239 North Spring Street. And I understand that one is sponsored by the League of Women Voters and NAACP branch 5124, which I'm a member, and our very own Movement for Change with Mr. Jerry McIntosh. So come out and join them for that. And that's on Wednesday, July the 29th at the downtown library. And then, as Jill mentioned, and everybody, I'm going to share the flyer because all of us are members of this wonderful group called the Northwest Florida Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement. And they are partnering with the group called Equal Ground, which is doing their 2026 legislative session debrief. And that is this Saturday, August the 1st. Doors open at 8:30 p.m. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. And that's at Hearst Chapel AME Church, which is at 707 North C Street here in Pensacola. This is an opportunity for Escambia and Santa Rosa and Okaloosa and Walton counties to come together. This is sponsored by if I go through the Northwest Florida Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement, the NAACPs of Escambia and Okaloosa County, the League of Women Voters for the Pensacola Bay, Families First for Strong Public Schools, Earth Action, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Movement for Change, Real Women Radio, the Pensacola alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Real Women Radio, Sisters of Hope, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. So I would encourage you to come out. This is a great opportunity. Doors open at 8:30. You will get free breakfast and have an opportunity to eat before the beginning session, which starts at 10 and will go from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. We'll break for a wonderful lunch. And then after lunch, we will get together as groups from Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa County. It's an opportunity to hear from candidates from all of those areas. So, and then just understand what's taking place and what you need to know to be election ready for 2026. So please come out and join us. Again, that is on Saturday, August 1st. It will be most of the day. We'll finally close the day out about 3 o'clock. So if you can, we'd love to have you. And that's at Hearst Chapel, AME, 707 North C Street in Pensacola. And I think that is all that I have regarding things and opportunities. So I'm going to go to Jamil and tell us what is happening in the world of Black Voters Matter and what folks in this area can expect.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Salutations to all. It is I, Jamil Davis, serving as your North Florida League regional organizer for Black Voters Matter. And tomorrow I'm back in the office actually, because the entire organization has had the wonderful pleasure of being on vacation since the 3rd of July. And we come back from vacation tomorrow. And as soon as I come back from vacation, I'm on the ground running because, it's primaries around here and people are taking primaries very seriously here in the state of Florida. And I'm very excited about that. And as Ms. Derrick just so happily mentioned, Saturday, August 1st, Pensacola, guess who'll be there? This guy, along with many other organizations, to be in solidarity with People Brown Education Fund for their annual legislation debrief tour stop in the Panhandle. This particular stop this year, as it's been stated numerous times already, makes rotating stops. Now we're in Pensacola. So I'm excited. No, I'm great. It's going to be a great time to be home with all of the wonderful people in the Panhandle. And I promise y'all, I'm probably going to be home a lot next couple of months as we go into primary election season. And then, of course, your favorite and mine, general election season. But primary season is already shaping up to be one for the books here in the state of Florida. And the joy is knowing and watching the fact that the Panhandle is playing a huge part in primary election season as well. I know there are going to be a couple of things that we're going to talk about as far as things that have occurred with me while I've been on vacation. But we'll get to those things when we get to them in good of the order of the agenda. But going on with me starting tomorrow, I'm back on the clock and ready to go because, just being able to just watch everything go on this month while I've been, a civilian, as I like to call it, has been very interesting and very exciting, to say the least. But we'll get more into that as time goes along on tonight's broadcast. Thank y'all so much.
Well, thank you for that, Jamil. Mr. Vernon, do you have anything that people need to know about? All right, I'm going to take that as a big old no. And we're going to move right along to our next order of
No,
business.
no, I wasn't at the mic. No, I don't have anything yet.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I am going to move on to our next order of business and talk about, as our wonderful friend over there, Jamil, just mentioned. We weren't on the air last week. As many of you know, we were traveling. Well, Jill and I were traveling back from Orlando for a weekend. And so, Jill, you had the opportunity to attend the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida's conference, and then Leadership Blue, and so did you, Jamil. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
You starting to remind Miss Jill.
You
Yeah.
can start. You want me to
Or
start?
you. Either way,
Well,
it doesn't matter.
I was there and Jamil was on stage. So I think we should start with Jamil because Jamil was a superstar. So we're going to start with Jamil.
There you go.
The joys of being the quote unquote superstar. No, so I'll say late May, early June of this year, I was given an invitation by the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida to come to the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida conference as a moderator and panelist. So it was a joy. It was a joy to do both. I moderated 2 panels, and I was a panelist on 1 panel. There was a total of 3 panels in full. Moderated 2, panelists on 1. 2 panels that I moderated were the torchbearer / elders panel, which consisted of Samuel Dubois, who was a former state rep and former leader of House, like Democratic leader of the House. Also,
Wait, I think you mean Bobby DuBois, right?
Bobby DuBois. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. I was like, who's Samuel Dubois?
Yeah, Bobby DuBois.
Look, I'm gonna help you out now that I got the book. Go ahead. They give us a book. Got the book now.
So yeah.
Can't hear you now. You gone. No.
Hold on a second.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. So yeah, Bobby DuBois, House leader, and Rep. Yvonne Henson out of Gainesville, and then the always amazing and incomparable former chair of the Democratic Party, Judy Mount. And it's always a joy to let y'all know right now, it's always a joy to see Miss Judy anywhere and anytime that I can. So that was the first panel. The second panel is what I like to call the leadership panel. Why? Because it seems like every president of every caucus, and I know it wasn't every caucus, I'm just exaggerating, but it did very much seem like it. Every president for every caucus was on said panel. We had Samuel Chang, who's the president of the AAPI. We had Professor Edelman, who is the president of the Jewish Democratic Caucus. We had Heather, who is the president of the Haitian Democratic Caucus. We had your friend of mine, Armando Grande Gomez, who is the president of the Democratic Black Caucus. And we had
Matthew Grokowski,
who is the president of the Democratic Progressive Caucus. And we also had the president of the LGBTQ Democratic Caucus, Kristen. So those are your presidents that were on the panel, and that panel was a very exciting and intense panel, to say the least. And we'll keep it at that. And then there was the final panel, which is the passing the torch panel, passing the torch to the next generation panel, which consisted of myself, Genesis Robinson of Equal Ground, and we also had the president of the high school Democrats on the panel, and there was also special guests that popped up on the panel, which was awesome and exciting. And it actually was someone who is an intern with the Louis Frankel campaign, young Black gentleman who is going to be going places. I guarantee y'all he's going to be going places, and he's going to be doing great and big things. And that panel also was moderated by former president of the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida, Mr. Trevor Mallory. And so that was good times, great times at the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida conference. We also then from the panels went into the Black Caucus of Florida luncheon. Awesome and amazing speaker. I'm gonna let Jill go into details about the awesome and amazing speaker that happened at the Black Caucus luncheon. Because I purposely remember names, but you all know I don't like jacking up people's names.
I'm glad you called on Jill.
Indeed. I remember names. I just don't like jacking up people's names. But the luncheon was awesome and amazing. The luncheon, of course, was attended by the Jolly campaign. Many, if not all, of the prominent gubernatorial candidates for the state of Florida was at this luncheon. Like, they were at the luncheon. Mr. Jolly was at the luncheon, as well as Gwen Graham. Dana Marie Foster, who's also a candidate for governor, was at the luncheon, and Dr. Joseph, who is a candidate for the gubernatorial seat of Florida, was at the luncheon as well. I mean, if y'all wanted to meet the three prominent candidates running for the gubernatorial seat for the state of Florida, she got you a ticket to the Black Caucus luncheon. Also, y'all friend and mine, the chair of the Florida Democratic Party, the incomparable Nikki Fried, was also at the Black Caucus luncheon, and many others. Before I go into what happened with me for the rest of Leadership Blue, I'll throw it over to Miss Jill for her thoughts around the Black Caucus Conference and luncheon as well.
Thank you so much. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share what I'm going to share. We're going to kick lunch over to Derek, because I also have a problem with names and I don't want to jack it up. And so I have purposely this time said, oh, Derek will do that. Derek will do that. But thank you for sharing all of that. It was great to see Jamil up there on stage in his element. The first panel was I don't know why he said the second panel. The first panel woke everybody up. It was a lot of call to action, call to why aren't you doing more, and when are you going to start? And I'm not here to be nice or sugarcoat. I'm just going to say it how it is, and y'all need to do more.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I've gotten a lot of texts from folks who wanted Jamil to go into details like, what did he mean by intense? So
And
So that's the first
and everything
that was
everything that Miss Jill just said, that was Judy Mount. That wasn't all three panelists. That was literally Judy Mount.
well, I mean, my perception, um, Yvonne Henson hit it home. I mean, she started it.
Yeah.
She started it. She started it with the blows. Like, well,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Why aren't you doing anything? And here, let me just make sure you know where I'm talking about and then who I'm talking about. But it was, I think it livened me up because it was like you started with breakfast. There was a room full of candidates, not just the gubernatorial candidates, but over 40 candidates that are running across the state, from positions, city council, school board, all the way up through gubernatorial candidates. So that was good to see. And then when they started that first panel, it was like, whoa, okay, this is you're here to learn, you're here to do, you're here to be called to understand what needs to happen next, or how did we get this? The theme was all about the torch and how we got it, and then those that are doing the work now, and then, as he said, those that would carry it. And then, yes, they went to the second panel, which was about a third of the caucus presidents, but it was quite powerful. A lot of people in the audience, we were like, wow, this is great to see everybody communicating, and trying to give their vision and how to work together. And I think that's how we got that special guest, because he asked that very pertinent question and also called, I'm going to say, like, call to action, like, why aren't you doing this more? Why don't we have these kinds of conversations all the time? Why does it seem like everybody's in their own silo? And then the last panel, Jamil, you know what? He just wears all these little hats, and it's kind of great. It was good to see the former president of the Black Caucus be the moderator, who's also running for city council in Pinellas County. Like, it was just, I think what I would agree with Jamil, that if you weren't in that room, you needed to be in that room, because there were candidates everywhere. And it gave you, and people everywhere, and it gave you the opportunity to really get to know some candidates, and hear, like, the structure of, okay, we all know where we are, what do we do next? And then we went to lunch, which Derek will go over who the keynote speaker was, but I'm going to kind of do the other stuff, because there were some fabulous surprises. We were joined by, as he said, David Jolly and Gwen Graham. I will say this, I was quite shocked during session 2, or right before session 2, if I recall correctly, that the title sponsor was David Jolly, and Gwen Graham took the stage, and maybe I missed it. So for those that were there, you tell me if I missed it, because I missed the, hey, we're running, this is what we're running for, this is why we sponsored, and more so, we got her intimate apology to Judy Mount. And if I recall correctly, the next statement that was made was, and so that's why I came here today. So for me, I just was like, okay, maybe it's just me. I'm trying to understand, because I thought they would talk to us because we're there, and it was something different. So I had to bring that up. And then at the very end, we did have Mayor Jerry Demings and Congresswoman Val Demings join us. And so that was wonderful. And we did have some fabulous awards given. And, sometimes people are surprised, and they should be. And I'm sure we'll go into all of that at another time. But we were able to give a lifetime award to Jerry Demings and Val Demings together. And so it was an amazing opportunity to see that power couple up there, and they're not giving up, and they're not backing down. And he even said that he's fighting his battle with cancer, and that was great. And then after that, there was this wonderful reception in the next room, hors d'oeuvres, free drinks, and a stage. And you're kind of like, wonder what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, every single candidate got to get on stage, share their platform. They were supposed to talk for 3 minutes. Some of them took 5, 7 minutes. But you had like every candidate that was there got to get up on the stage and or their representative and share why they're running, how you could help them, how you could help donate, what help they needed, and then what their platform was. And so it was a great way to end, I believe, the conference, and before you kicked into Leadership Blue and their receptions. And I think
I also would like to point this out. Like, people that were a part of the coordinating of the Black Caucus Conference and people that were like on the agenda for the Black Caucus Conference, was trying to reiterate and hit home many a times that this was in addition to Leadership Blue. But me personally, I feel like the Black Caucus Conference was literally like the unofficial kickoff to Leadership Blue and Leadership Blue weekend, because many of like the same people from a smaller scale, many of the same people that y'all saw in the building at the Black Caucus Conference was literally over at Leadership Blue. And then those people that weren't at the Black Caucus Conference, they were like, what happened at the Black Caucus Conference? I heard everything went great, and all the things. And, some of the people that, presented that question to me, I said to them, some of the things that happened at the Black Caucus Conference, other people, I was like, well, should have been there. It was an awesome time, and if there's ever a situation where you can be there, I suggest get yourself a ticket, register in advance, because it's gonna be an event to remember. So, but no, it really was, and I was very honored to actually be presented with the opportunity to come do panels, moderate panels, and just enjoy the ambiance. I also want to say to people who actually attended the Black Caucus Conference, because contrary to which I believe a good amount of people actually watched this show. So it's a lot of people that watched this show. So to people who attended the Black Caucus Conference and attended all parts up to the candidate palooza, just keep in mind the candidates who did and didn't show up. But it's candidate palooza when you at these polls on August the 18th. Because there's some people that didn't show up to this candidate palooza. And I have it on good authority, i.e. the two of the people that's on this broadcast tonight, that everybody got invited to attend said candidate palooza. So just, keep those things in mind as we go into this vital primary election season. That's a part of my TED Talk.
Thank you. I'm going to like Derek, if you would share, because we did have a wonderful speaker. We started again. We made sure that our title sponsor was recognized, and all of the candidates that did videos were recognized. And then we had a fabulous lunch, and then we had a fabulous speaker. So I'm going to hand that over to.
And I'll be brief on that because we all got a chance to hear the last time we were on. We heard from we had an opportunity to sit and have as a guest co-host the wonderful Ifeoma Ike, also known as Iffy, who joined us 2 Sundays ago on our broadcast. So we got a chance to hear from her, and it was phenomenal. It was a great luncheon. We got a chance to hear from Mayor Jerry Demings and folks, and it was just great. And shout out to Councilman Rockman Johnson from Jacksonville City Council, District 14, who was the MC and the moderator for the lunch. It was a great opportunity. But I want to, I guess, it was good to talk about that, and that kind of wraps up our thing. But I wanted to get your experience, Jamil, on you had an opportunity to attend Leadership Blue in a unique capacity, and what were your observations from that?
So, literally a week before Leadership Blue, I received an email from Whitney Murray Brown, who is the press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. In that email, it stated to me that the Florida Democratic Party would be doing this unique new thing called the Content Creator Corps, which was comprised of 10 content creators, podcasters, and social media influencers who were invited to cover the full weekend of Leadership Blue. We were paid very handsomely for our services and were given very nice accommodations. However, I kept my accommodations from the Black Caucus because I was already going to be in town said weekend, and that room was a lot better. So we were able to attend the welcome reception, which happened on that Friday afternoon going into Friday evening. We also were able to attend the gala that happened that Saturday night, and we were given our own room at the place where the Leadership Blue was happening, which was Walt Disney Resort. They booked all the ballrooms and whatnot, and we were given our own room, and that room was called the Creator Lounge. And throughout the day, candidates from all over the state, all the regions, and even top of ticket candidates were given the opportunity to come and sit with all of the content creators for like 20 to 30 minutes and create significant content that would then be placed on our respective social media pages for either ourselves or any entities that's attached to us. Of course, as many people know, for me, I'm the lead host and co-executive producer for a podcast known as BLK FLA, the podcast, which is the intersection of Black politics and Black culture for the entire state of Florida. So I was actually invited on behalf of the podcast, whose host just doesn't include myself, but also includes Natasha Sutherland, who is the executive director for Florida Watch, Shanae Jackson, who is the organizing director for Florida for All, and Ryan Wagner, former policy director for Black Voters Matter, current policy director for Alabama Values. Yes, Mr. Jerry, she has departed from the organization. She now is with Alabama Values and is doing really great in Birmingham, Alabama. And she says hello because I talked to her last night. And so the four of us, we host the podcast, but I was the person that went to Leadership Blue to represent the pod. Saturday was when all of the content creator events went down, as well as just all the events that went down for Leadership Blue. You have your panel discussions, you have your trainings, candidates go through trainings, people that are on the candidates campaign teams, they go through trainings as well. But as I stated before, for us as content creators and podcasters, this was a unique opportunity for us to be able to actually create content and or do interviews with some of the candidates that are running, not just within our local area, because y'all know for me, I have a unique circumstance of, even though I live in Jacksonville, Florida. As Christina so eloquently said earlier, Duval. Even though I live in Jacksonville, I had the unique experience of being concerned about the political infrastructure and political landscape across North Florida, but I was able to really dig deep in my podcast capacity and do interviews with people from across the state. My literal first interview, which some of the clips of the interviews that I did during Leadership Blue are available on our Instagram page, which is BLKFLA, the podcast, spelled like how it's supposed to be spelled. BLKFLATHE podcast. Go through spelling the word podcast. We all know how to spell it. My very first interview was with Britt Robinson, who is a candidate for District 4, Congressional District 4, which is right over here in Duval County. And that particular congressional district covers huge parts of Duval County, parts of Nassau County, and Clay County. And she is running against Michael Kerwin and LJ Holloway in the Democratic primary. We were also able to interview Luis Salazar, who is running for Florida State House in Tampa Bay area. I think he's running for House District 60, more than certain. He's running for House District 61. We also interviewed Mitch Emerson, who is the executive director for Florida Decides Healthcare, to give more information and give an update around what's going on with the ballot initiative that's going to be placed on the 2028 ballot. They're aiming for the 2028 ballot this time around to get Medicaid expansion on the ballot. And as we were doing interviews with many of your favorite candidates, we were then told that the chair of the Florida Democratic Party, Nikki Fried, is about to walk in, and Nikki Fried personally said that she wanted to do an interview with you. So do you have time? It's like, I can make time. So we did do an interview at Leadership Blue with the chair of the Democratic Party, Nikki Fried. And if anybody knows me, my huge concern as it relates to the Florida Democratic Party is what is Black organizing and Black outreach going to look like as we move not into just this election cycle, but future election cycles, for the next 2 to 3 cycles. Because in 2027, we have crucial municipal elections going on here in Jacksonville, in Tampa, as well as in Orlando. As far as like the big metropolitan cities, and we have an opportunity. I believe we have a huge opportunity here in Jacksonville to gain a couple of city council seats, which in actuality, one of the city council seats is going to actually be on our ballot this year, as Terrence Freeman, who is the city councilman for at-large Group 1. If y'all know anything about Jacksonville and how Jacksonville city government is, it's 14 districts, and then it's 5 at-large seats. And those 5 at-large seats cover the entire county of Duval, because during the 50s or the 60s, I always get my dates mixed up, but I know it's either 55 or 65. County government was consolidated into city government. And with the consolidation occurring, there are 5 county commission seats just became the 5 at-large seats on Jacksonville's city council. So Terrence Freeman is actually now running for State House District 12 as a Republican. Neither here nor there. But he's running for State House District 12. So in him running for State House District 12, we still need a city councilman that's going to be on city council until we get to 2027 and the actual election. And so, we are going to have a special election that's going to be included into our regular election. August 18th, the three candidates, whether they're Democratic or Republican, because that's the crazy way that our stuff works for our city council here in Jacksonville. The three candidates that's running for that seat, you can vote for them on August the 18th, and anybody can vote for them on August the 18th, no matter your party affiliation. That person has to get 50 plus one. If they don't, top two vote getters then move on to November the 3rd. I'm more than certain nobody from that race is gonna move on from November the 3rd. Because of the amount of people that's actually running for the seat. One notable person that I will say that is running for that seat is Monet Holder. Monet Holder used to be one of the black political directors over at Florida Rising, and she's now running to become the next city council person for at-large Group 1 here in Jacksonville. Good friend to the podcast for us, good friend to the show here at Our Voices, and just all around great person overall with the work that she's done with Florida Rising. So as I stated, we interviewed Nikki Freed. We also interviewed Bernard Taylor, who is running down in South Florida for Congressional District 21. He is the individual that is the Black male candidate who is the firefighter and EMT that everybody is following on social media, and everybody is giving generously to his campaign to the tune of him being one of the grassroots candidates that has just, and I literally say just as of yesterday, raised $1 million for his campaign as a grassroots candidate. Have not taken any corporate funding, has not taken any APEC funding, none of that, and has raised $1 million for his campaign. His campaign, if he wins his primary on August the 18th, which his primary only has two candidates, himself and one other person in the Democratic race. Whoever wins will be facing Brian Mast, who is the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. So that's one. We also got a chance to do an interview with Brian Nathan. Brian Nathan, as we all know, is one of two individuals that ran in special elections earlier in the year in March here in the state of Florida. Brian Nathan was the individual who flipped a state Senate seat in the Tampa Bay area, flipped SD 14, I believe. And great interview with him. We also got to interview the individual who's running for Congressional District 25, Mr. Oliver Larkin, who, if he wins his primary, will be running up against the self-proclaimed, in his primary, I apologize, he's running up against the self-proclaimed DeSantis Democrat, Jared Moskowitz. We all on this call know about Jared, and all of our wonderful interactions or lack thereof with Representative Moskowitz. I've actually had one interaction with him in Washington D.C. during voter registration lobby day back in 2024. Good times. Good times. And I mean that with the utmost sarcasm. But yes, Oliver Larkin and Britt Robinson also are the two candidates here in the state of Florida that are your DSA candidates that are running in congressional races here in the state of Florida as well. We also got a chance to have interactions with Earl Ford, who's running for chief financial officer, and we will be doing a future interview with Jose Javier Rodriguez, who is running for attorney general, and he's the only lone Democratic candidate that's running for attorney general. So he has the pleasure and honor of not having the primary in August. He will be going against James Upmeyer, who myself and candidate for Congressional District 20, Elijah Manley, had a very interesting experience with James Upmeyer while the Congressional Black Caucus of Florida Conference was going on and happening. James, for y'all, Derek and Jill to know, James Upmeyer was actually in the building that day. And he was there seeking the endorsement of the Florida Realtors PAC. And so we were able to catch him on camera doing the same thing that many of our other candidates, no matter what political party who doesn't want to talk to their constituents do, they run away from opportunities to speak to their constituents around. And this time with Mr. Upmeyer, we had a conversation around why did you want to take away affirmative action laws here in the state of Florida, as well as why are you not enforcing civil rights laws in the state of Florida as the attorney general who never got elected because you got appointed by the governor, because the governor appointed the former attorney general, Ashley Moody, to the United States Senate seat, which brings me to the piece de resistance of being a part of the Content Creator Corps at Leadership Blue. So all candidates, no matter what they were running for or no matter what region they were from, had a block. They had a time block that they had to be in the Creator Lounge. Everybody that was at the top of the ticket, whether it was governor, CFO, attorney general, what have you, those candidates had their time blocks. The only race that had two separate times. And when I say this, Christina got that look on her face, because I feel like even with her not being there, she knows which race I'm going to bring up that had two different times and did not have a time block for the candidates that were running for that seat. And that race was the United States Senate race. One candidate was supposed to come in from 3:30 to 4. The other candidate was supposed to come in from 4 to 4:30. I'll let you all guess which candidate was the one that asked to have separate times for the senatorial candidates. Don't worry, we all already know. So with that being said, we get an email at around like 1:15 stating that Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman is supposed to be in between the times of 2:50 to 3:20. Cool. We then get told at around 2:55 that Mr. Vindman is not going to be in until 3:20. He has another event that's happening in Orlando that's running a bit late, but his team did call us and state that he was coming. Wonderful. Delightful. So we all are now under the impression that Alexander Vindman is showing up at either 3:20 or 3:30. We get to 3:25, and we are told by a staff member of the Florida Democratic Party, who I know the staff member's name, and I don't throw people up under the bus, so we won't be mentioning no names. But said staff member told us that Vindman's team said that he wasn't coming. We're like, is there a reason? Nope. Vim is no showing. So there is a content creator on Insta. Her Instagram name as well as TikTok name is Amanda Informed. Amanda Informed on Instagram. She has a video up on her Instagram page of her talking with a staff member from Vimen's team about why Vimen isn't showing. Staff member says, we just got here. And so during that particular time block that she's having this conversation with the staff member, we didn't have anybody else coming in because the next person that was supposed to come in after Alexander Vimen was the keynote speaker. We then find out that the keynote speaker for Leadership Blue, which was former Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, couldn't make it. And the reason he couldn't make it is because Disney was being very tight-lipped and tight with Mr. Buttigieg's schedule, because as we all know, if you were ever part of a recent presidential administration, you still have Secret Service. And so it's one of those things of whatever time block that person is actually supposed to be in the building, we got to be tight with the time blocks. So we didn't have anybody. So if Mr. Vimen was in the building, he could have came at any time and still honored his restriction of not wanting to be in the same area as his primary opponent, came and did time with us, left out. His primary opponent could have came in at her required time and did time with us. Didn't show. So now we're all outside of the lounge, the area of our ballroom / creator lounge. We're all talking. It's a couple of us content creators, but it's also a couple of us candidates that's in the midst of the circle as well. Britt Robinson was in the midst of the circle. Ronnie Murchison Rivera, who's running against Randy Fine for his congressional seat, was in the midst as well. There's a couple of us. We were just outside chilling. Because the younger progressive candidates are this is a great opportunity for us to just build with content creators, not just during Leadership Blue, but throughout the year as well. We all getting each other's content information, blah, blah, what have you. Who decides that they want to walk by to go to their press gaggle during Leadership Blue and completely ignore all the content creators that's standing outside but Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vimen? As we all know, during that same weekend of Leadership Blue, it was reported that 2, now being reported 4 individuals were murdered during active duty situations that were occurring in Iran, along with Britt Robinson being a candidate for Congressional District 4. Britt is also a military spouse. And if anybody knows anything about active military or active military intelligence or former military intelligence, if you've served in military intelligence of any kind, they still giving you military intelligence information. And so Britt decided this would be an opportunity for her to ask questions about what's now next. Are we sending more people over to Iran? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? And there are 3 content creators who caught this interaction on video. Britt herself, which is Britt for Congress, Britt, the number 4 Congress, gentleman by the name of Ben, whose Instagram name is Press X Repeat, just like how it sounds. Press the letter X and repeat, and yours truly. Jamal's still on social media, BLKFLA the podcast on Instagram. We all caught this on video. We all caught Alexander Vindman running away from content creators, as well as a sitting congressional candidate and a military spouse on video. We all caught members of Alexander Vindman's team preventing said congressional candidate from going into the press room, because all candidates have access to all of the rooms at Leadership Blue. There are specific rooms we don't have access to as, you know, content creators and whatnot, but everybody that's a candidate has the access to the media room, to the press room, no matter whose press time.
Jamil, let me ask you this: Did y'all interview Angie Nixon?
Absolutely. Here's the funny part about all of these videos that caught Alexander Vindman as he was going to his press cargo, not giving, you know, because he had enough time. He could have gave us he could have gave everybody at least 3 to 5 minutes to answer questions. He chose not to. Here's the funny part about it. If you look in any of the videos, including mine, as he's walking into the press room, Angie Nixon is literally standing right there as he's walking into the press room. So this is literally like the only time outside of the Democratic Hispanic Caucus forum. This is the virtual forum that they had on Zoom. This is literally the only time. That little 30 seconds is the only time that they've ever been in the same room at the same time during this entire election cycle.
But for those who don't know all the candidates that's running for the Senate, can you address that?
As of right now, it's literally Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman and State Representative Angie Nixon. They're the only two people that's running for the United States Senate for the Democrats. Oh, and then of course, you know, there's 4 people that's primarying, and on the Republican side, the 3 out of 4 of them don't matter, because Ashley Moody is winning on August the 18th. If you don't think Ashley Moody is winning on August the 18th, I got some beachfront property that I can sell you in Alaska right now. It's literally between Ashley Moody and whoever wins the Democratic primary on August the 18th, which, funny piece of information about that. So we get to Monday after Leadership Blue is over with, and there was an independent poll that was taken by the University of North Florida. It wasn't just taken with just people who live in the North Florida area or in Duval County. This poll was taken with voters across the state of Florida. This poll wasn't just taken with just Democratic voters. It was taken with Democratic voters. It was taken with Republican voters, and it was taken with independent voters. So we got a nice mixture, which, by the way, 21% of independent voters took this poll. In the poll, the question was asked, if the general election was happening on today, who would you vote? Who would you vote for? Out of the 2 candidates that we give you, the first piece of the poll was Ashley Moody versus Alexander Vindman. The poll stated 50% of the people said Ashley Moody, 40% of the people said Alexander Vindman. The next piece said Ashley Moody versus Angie Nixon. 50% of the people said Ashley Moody, whereas 42% of the people said State Representative Angie Nixon. What have we learned today, kids? This is what we've learned. We've learned that the things that people have been telling us for months and months and months and months and months, which is the Black woman is unelectable. The Black woman doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell to win this election. The Black woman can't compete in a nationwide U.S. senatorial race for the state of Florida. Is actually the Democratic Party's best chance to have a fighting chance to actually win this election in November. That's what we've learned today, kids. We also learned in the same poll, they asked if the primary was today, who would win the primary. We had Vimmen at 52. We had Vimmen at 52. We had Angie at about 34 to 38%. But there was this interesting number of 24% of voters are undecided.
I think that's a good piece to kind of go into.
Hey, Derek, before we move on, I just have to say this. One of our former president, John Geralds. I know you know John. Did you know John Geralds? Yeah, he has transitioned, and he was also city council about 12 years, and then he was reappointed for a year or so because of vacancy. But he have transitioned. He was the third president of Movement for Change after Leroy and Jeannie Boyd. And so he has transitioned, and we send our deepest condolence to him and his family and everybody that was involved with his life. And he was also a longtime teacher here in Escambia County. So I have to say that and honor his life. I've been intending to call his wife. I know she's been inundated with calls and stuff, and best wishes and all of that. But I got to get her all the information. As someone has said that his service will be on August the 7th. Others are saying August the 6th. And I want to make sure I talk with her before I say what day it's going to be, so that we will have the right information on Tuesday, and hopefully.
So I think that brings thank you for Jamil for sharing that. I think what we have tried to do as concerned citizens on this show today is share a couple of things, because I know there's been a lot of questions. I even heard Mr. Vernon say, "Who do we vote for?" Right, and so this wonderful group called the Northwest Florida Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement took the time to walk through and examine carefully some of the elections that were happening here in Northwest Florida and statewide, and thought we would go ahead and take this opportunity tonight to share those things with you. So I guess what we will do is we'll start with Escambia County. And before we do, I want to make sure that, although, and I want to just be clear with this, although I serve in leadership within the Democratic Party, the endorsements that are made here are solely in my personal capacity as an informed citizen and voter, and they reflect independent evaluations of the candidates. And I want to be clear, it is not an official endorsement or position of the Escambia County Democratic Executive Committee or the Escambia County Democratic Party, the Florida Democratic Party, or any duly chartered club or caucus affiliated within the Florida Democratic Party. Nothing in the next few statements should be interpreted as an organizational endorsement. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with
That's
that.
a cover up. I like that. That's a
Say
good one.
what?
I need you to send me that. That's a good one.
So with that, we will talk about what's some of the recommendations for Escambia County. And as we do so, want to be sure that you guys can see this. So as Jamil just talked about, we have several races that are statewide that are going to be on your August ballot. And for Escambia County, the Northwest Florida Panhandle Coalition absolutely endorses Angie Nixon for the United States Senate and believe that she is a voice for people. You heard Jamil talk about someone not being able to engage with voters or content creators at this most recent, which were friendly folks in the room, and not being able to engage with those. So we absolutely recommend and endorse Florida State Representative Angie Nixon. For governor, we endorse former Representative David Jolly. For CFO, we proudly endorse Earl Ford Jr., who is running for CFO. He has the experience and leadership. And for the Commissioner of Agriculture, we endorse Donald Pritchard for CFO. Now, these are going to be folks who appear on the Democratic ballot. So if you're wondering if you have a ballot, you're like, I don't see any of those people on there. That's because they're on the Democratic ballot. In Escambia County, we recommend and endorse Aaron Toller for school board for District 1, Mr. Gerald Washington for school board District 2, and Dr. Isaac Williams for school board District 3. And certainly, if you're wondering, there are like 6 folks in the Pensacola mayoral race. We recommend the mayoral candidate, Jermaine Williams. We think he is the best shot to turn things around here for the city of Pensacola. So those are our recommendations. Again, these are not an endorsement of the Escambia Democratic Executive Committee or the Escambia Democratic Party, the Florida Democratic Party, or any duly chartered club or caucus within the Florida Democratic Party. And that's all I will share with for Escambia County. I will turn it over to BJ and Christina if they'd like to share for Santa Rosa County.
You got the graphic?
I do.
So again, we need to make clear that, these are the endorsements from the Panhandle Coalition for Civil Engagement, and any of the recommendations that we make are in our own personal capacity and not a representation of the Democratic Party, the Democratic Executive Committee from Santa Rosa County, or the Florida Democratic Party, or any of the clubs or any of the caucuses that I'm a member of. This is just personal recommendations. Take with it what you will. Okay. So for Santa Rosa County, you will know that Angie Nixon will be on the ballot in Santa Rosa County. And so the recommendation is that you support State Representative Angie Nixon for U.S. Senate. Like Derek said, Earl Ford and David Jolly should also be on your ballot if you're a registered Democrat in Santa Rosa County. And even if you are not a registered Democrat, school board races are nonpartisan. And so for those 2 candidates, we recommend that you vote for Kyle Connolly, who's running against an incumbent, and Marie Lachlan, who is also running against an incumbent for school board.
Okay.
Derek, I just want to thank you for coming out at our town hall. People got a better understanding of why people was being endorsed by you and the Panhandle Coalition because of the breakdown you did for them and gave them a better understanding so that they could go back and tell their family and friends and make sure that they had some informed information that they could use to help others. And we again want to thank you for coming out, and hopefully you can make the next 4 Thursday so that we can do it all over again. Because we want more and more people to have that information so they can make an informed decision on who they're voting for, why they vote for that person. Because a lot of times people don't have or don't have, either have time or won't take the time to research the candidates or may not even know how to do it. So again, thanks again for coming out to our town hall each month to help break down these candidates and show the back the back parts of what is going on with them. So thanks again.
Mm-hmm. Next, we will
So,
turn it over to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Do you have something to?
I also did get a text message from someone as it pertains, and I can answer this question. I already know the answer to it, as it pertains to why Matthias Robinson was not on the endorsement graphic for Escambia County. Matthias does not have a primary. The endorsements that Northwest Florida Coalition of Civic Engagement are giving right now are for the August primary. Matthias will be moving on to the November election as he does not have a primary opponent in August. And also, these people that are being talked about right now by the 3 counties, if you don't see some of these people on your ballot, it's because you didn't change your party affiliation last Monday, because last Monday was the deadline. July 20th was the deadline for voter registration for the August primary, or the deadline to change your party affiliation if you wanted to vote for either political party as it pertains to the August primary. Thank y'all.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, just to reiterate, these are only for candidates in the August elections. The Panhandle Coalition will certainly do ones in November as we move forward. Jill, do you want to discuss Okaloosa County?
I would love to, but before you put our flyer up, go through my disclaimer, because I, for real, have to make sure that every single person that knows Jill Lewis Daxday, I'm just Jay. Bernie, you know what that is. So just Jay, that is just me. I am going to read my disclaimer because I want to make sure that you are absolutely clear that although I do serve in many capacities for the Democratic Party, what we are about to share is made solely in my very own capacity of me being just Jay and having the opportunity to talk with, meet, do deep dive into candidates and what I feel would be best for Okaloosa County, for our community, and for our family. Make sure I got it. It is not, I have to make sure this is very clear too. This is not the Okaloosa Democrat Executive Committee. This is not the Okaloosa Democratic Black Caucus. This isn't even the NAACP. It isn't the clubs. It isn't the caucuses. It isn't any of anything else that you could put together, whatever it is. It's not the Divide Nine. It's not the links. It's not, I don't know how much more clear I can say that this is just, I ain't even a part of half of those organizations. But just in case somebody wants to say that Jill said, what you can say is just Jay came on as our own individual person and said, as a part of the Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement, we did a deep dive. And we are focused on what is best for our community, our families. And so now you can put that up. Of course, a lot of this is somewhat of the same, but absolutely Angie Nixon for U.S. Senate. If you get the opportunity on Tuesday and you hear her, I think that you'll understand it without us even saying anything. But I also think that you need to listen to what Jamil shared and what's on social media all over the place. There is no reason that someone who is running for senator would not talk to the constituents, even in difficult, hard situations, even though you know they're going to call you out on whatever it might be, because nobody's perfect. Because if you can't talk to us, then you're not going to be able to fight for us. So, Angie Nixon for U.S. Senator, Earl Ford Jr. for CFO. He does have the experience and a veteran, and just really, I think if you talk with him and if you hear about him, you do your research, you'll see that, yes, he's absolutely a Democrat, but he understands that this is the one position that it really doesn't matter, because your job is to hold everybody accountable. And he's ready to do that, and fairly. So everyone should be looking for the candidate that will do the job that you're supposed to do as the CFO, and someone who can be party affiliated, but understand that your responsibilities are to make sure our money is going where it's supposed to go, and that you hold us accountable to the rules, the laws, and the legislation. And then for Governor David Jolly, many of you have had the opportunity to talk with him and speak with him. And then Donald Don Pritchard for Commissioner of Agriculture. And then we have two candidates, Linda Ivanchek for School Board District 3. She is an incumbent. And then we have Brett Hinley for School Board District 5. And again, we took our time to listen to everyone's, where their heart was and why they're running and what they plan to do and their execution, because I think that there's more to running as a candidate than just saying the words. You have to have a plan. It has to be able to be executed. You have to show up, and you have to answer the difficult questions. I will be so disappointed in the state of Florida. And I'm going to say this because I have all my hats off. If you know and you see that Alex Vindman won't speak to, didn't show up, hasn't been in our area, pretty absolute sure wasn't at the Black Caucus event, didn't give a penny, but yet wants your vote. But when asked the difficult questions, which are difficult questions, can't be anything like being the senator. The questions and the situations that you're going to be in are so much more in depth than somebody just saying, what are you going to do next? And what about this? And how do you feel about this? If you can't speak to us, then you can't represent us. And so I would just say, watch the videos. Like, we didn't, Jamil, thank you, but it's more than just Jamil. I mean, I saw the one where the lady's like running across the parking lot. She had to take her shoes off. She had to take her shoes off.
Time
Can't turn and just say, hey, you know what? Da-da-da-da-da-da. I made a mistake. I stand by what I said. I stand by what I did, whatever it is. You're running from your constituents. So, anyway, don't get me started. So, we are sharing this. We are asking that people in our area, faith-based organizations, truly look at this. It does align in Okaloosa very closely to the Smart Vote. The statewide candidates, for the most part, yes, and even for the local candidates. And so take the time. If you're not going to take the time, take that in with you and go vote, or do it at home for vote by mail. But if you're going to take the time, Angie's going to be here. I have a question. Has Alex Vindman been here where we didn't have to pay money? Like, when did that one time? Like, has he been here? Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, I can tell you he hasn't been in Okaloosa. Not that we know of. Maybe he stopped at some point, I think Fred said it in Escambia, but you had to pay to see.
There was a thing you had to talk to, as I understand, in Escambia County. You were only, I think it was exclusive, but you had to pay $200 in order to have a conversation with
So
them.
it had to be exclusive and pay $200.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in our capacities of just general people that care, that do work, that are engaged, we weren't invited. And we're telling you that Angie's stopping by all three counties, chatting to, shake her hand, ask the hard questions. And that is what running for office is supposed to be. That is your elected official that fights for you. Yeah. So in Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, Escambia, we've tried to help. And the August 18th primary sets the stage. It sets the stage. And if we blow this, hell on earth is so imminent. It's so imminent.
I got just a couple texts, and I apologize. I have to go back because I didn't include it. I got a couple of texts from folks who are asking, what about the referendum in Escambia County, just so everybody's clear, on your ballot, no matter what your political affiliation is, there's a referendum on your ballot that it's regarding the school board superintendent, and it asks, should the school board superintendent be elected by the majority of electors in Escambia County? They are trying to move from an appointed superintendent back to an elected superintendent, and they're trying to do so covertly, without your input, without your understanding. And so what I will say is the position of the Northwest Florida Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement, we suggest that you vote no on that referendum, and let's keep it appointed so that we can keep politics out of education. As I understand, it is also the position of the Escambia Democratic Party that you vote no as well for that. So if you have questions around that referendum, certainly reach out to me. I'm happy to share, or you can reach out to the folks at the Escambia Democratic Party and they can answer your questions as well. So I did want to just make sure we touched on that, and that is a no vote on the Escambia County Superintendent referendum. And that's all we have. So, Mr. Vernon, I hope that answered your questions, right? And we will move on to our next order of business. And we'll talk briefly about it. Trump announced that he is running for a fourth term. He did so last week. I guess it was at the press correspondence. I don't know where it was, where he was talking. But he said he announced he's running for a fourth term. What say you to that?
So he just the Constitution don't matter, and the laws. I guess that's what he's saying, that he can, just trample over the Constitution. I guess they did it ever since he's been in office. So I guess he's saying, it's only a piece of paper, it's not law, and that I can do whatever I want to do because I got the Senate, the House, and the Supreme Court. So none of them who is going to stop me if I decide to run. In that case, then we have to bring out President Obama to run against it. So they can show statesman versus a fool. So if he do run, all you got to do is get somebody with some kind of intelligence to run against him. And I know that there are going to be plenty of people who are running. I know the governor of California, Gary Newsom, is saying that he's going to run. Then there's others out there who are saying they're going to run. So, it's not going to be, I think the last polling, he's deep down in the 30th percentile, and he's still running around telling people that, affordability is a hoax. that gas prices is going to come down, but each week is going back up to over $4 in many places. Food prices is still up. Housing is still up. The cost of getting food from one area to the next, from the farm to the stores, it's then went up because the gas prices and diesel prices are up. So I don't think he has a snowball chance in hell of winning fairly. Now, if they steal the election, he might steal a fourth term, but it's no way that he's going to win an election by by running for office and winning, because that's just not going to happen this time around, because too many of his own constituencies are suffering out there, and many of them saying out loud that I voted for him, but I won't do it again. So, but hopefully, he'll go home and sit down and put his diaper on and go on to bed like a little kid should. Go ahead, there.
Well, maybe it's just me. I number one, Constitution aside, certainly I would hope someone would be able to vote for a president who can understand how many terms he served, because he served one and then he's in his second term. So how is he running for a fourth term when he had served a third term?
Right.
He thinks he won in 2020.
Yes.
I guess so. So fourth term, all right, God bless. You can't do remedial math. You certainly can't be the president. But herein lies the issue with where we are. Let's see if the Supreme Court agrees with him or not. But the fact that he already has merchandise out is killing me.
I do want to point this out, that he stated this during his, I guess, speech or bit during the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So many of his contemporaries and people that's within his administration has written this off as a joke. But Richard Pryor once told me, I don't mean me personally, I mean in interviews, Rich Pryor once told me that there's a bit of truth within comedy. And the amount of times that we have seen over and over again, this administration, the Heritage Foundation, and many offshoots of the Heritage Foundation state that if they are able to get a filibuster-proof Senate, and enough of the numbers in the House, that opens the door for them to have a constitutional convention around this. Mm-hmm. That should also be another reason in and of itself for individuals to, do the thing and go out August the 18th as well as November the 3rd to flip a couple of these Senate seats as well as these congressional seats, because this isn't needed. And I think I was on an episode where I sent to Derek, and then it was also brought up on the episode that there's already a bill that's already been drawn up for the House and the Senate, mm-hmm. that opens the door for this. And the bill specifically has things in the bill that guarantees that the only person out of all of the people that we've talked about as far as living presidents that can do a third term is gonna be Trump. Like, that bill is already a thing. Like they've already put things in the bill that once you read the bill and the bill goes into law, we can't do Obama versus Trump, because they've already put things in the bill that makes it to where Obama can't run for a third term. The only person that can run for a third term would be Donald Trump.
Then they would have to, nullify the Constitution of the United States. And I don't think they have enough people to have a constitutional convening to do that as of yet. But you don't know what's happening behind the scene. I know that they've been trying to get a constitution convening, meaning that there's no rules that they have to go by. That means they can nullify the original Constitution because they believe that Jefferson said that every so often something about the democracy need to be watered or rewatered or something crazy. But anyway, the thing about it is they actually believe that they can do that, and with the Roberts court. It's no telling what they might do because John Roberts has been for 40 years trying to nullify the black vote in this country, and he got his wish when he nullified Section 4 and 5 of the Voting Rights Act, then came back Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and then they were talking about birthrights in this country. That mean the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, which I think people are not really paying close attention to what they are saying. If you're in birthright, that means you're in the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was written for us to become citizens. Then we become non-citizens. That meaning we don't have a right to vote in the country. We can't serve on juries. We can't run for office and all of those things because we're non-citizens. And so we have to be very astute of what they are talking about and take it seriously because that they are serious about what they are doing. And a lot of times we are so under the belief that these things cannot happen while they are happening in broad daylight in our faces and rubbing them in it. And this is why he got his own military mass terrorist organizations on the streets in every city, which is called ICE. That's nothing but a terrorist organization. And then now they are talking about merging with another country where these people commit all kinds of atrocities on other people, especially people of color. So we have to be very, very vigilant about what's taking place and what they are saying and pay closely attention to what they are saying because they are not playing. They are serious. It's a heart attack.
Jerry, I would 100% agree with you. And I think they're setting up the perfect storm. So I think when we look at the voting maps, which I think the voting maps absolutely control everything. And then you listen to him talking about running for a fourth term. And then you listen to him talking about ending the filibuster. So that he can pass his voter suppression act called Save America Act. It is just a perfect storm to be able to set up what he wants and to be able to push it through the way he wants it. And he is so all over this voter suppression bill and ending the filibuster. He's telling the senators, y'all better do it before it's too late. Y'all better do it before it's too late. That's what he's saying to them.
Right.
And then when you mix that with what he's doing with the maps, with what he's doing with the court, with what he's doing with everything else, he is setting, and the people around him are setting everything up for that perfect storm to be able to happen. And it's happening in front of us as we speak.
I think Jill and I are having the same conversation telegraphically. And I think we are asking the question. You can say if the question's different, Jill. The question is, what evidence have we seen so far that is going to lead us to believe that what is in the Constitution right now is going to stop any of this from happening? Mr. Jerry, I mean, you're the one with the most wisdom on this. I'm shocked about your hope, the hope that you have that this is somehow that this is not going to come to fruition. But our forever president wrote a whole book called The Audacity of Hope. So to be hopeful is by definition to be audacious. So I am hopeful that your hope is going to come to fruition. But at the end of the day, I think we go on the wall.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things, hope. I know hope is not will not suffice only, and that's why we have to fight with hope. But that's what I was saying. We got to pay closely attention to what's taking place so that we can be prepared for it. Because they are like I said, they're doing it in broad daylight in our faces. And if we don't pay close attention, and one politician said that they wanted to put Black people back into slavery. I don't know how they planning on doing it, but I guess that's why they building all these concentration camps, saying they're doing it for the immigrant community, but they are not just doing it for the immigration community. That's why they are building more prisons on the private prison complexes, and also these concentration camps that they are building called. And they got cute names for them and all, but these are preparations to go after, especially because Trump said himself that they want to go after the Antifa, which nothing but anti-fascism. He's saying people that radical people on the left, he want to put in jail. And nonprofits, he wants to get rid of those. So they are seriously contemplating what they intend to do, and we must be prepared as well. We must, have believe in the Constitution as much as possible, but by the same token, arm ourselves not only with knowledge, but with whatever else we need to make sure we are prepared to protect ourselves from the onslaught that's coming, and it's coming fast. And the thing about it, we just have to be prepared for it and be ready to fight if necessary. And
I think because the states are the ones who are responsible for carrying out elections, and while Republicans are not the majority by population, they are the majority by land. And so the majority of the states are unfortunately run by Republicans. You saw Colorado actually remove Trump from the ballot based on their state's constitution that said that people that engage in insurrections and try and overthrow the government cannot run for office in their state. Right. So the Supreme Court overruled Colorado's constitution. So I would venture to say there are going to be states that if he wants to run, we'll place him on the ballot. They won't even fight it. The states that do say, no, this is a violation of the Constitution, they're going to take it to the court, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court shouldn't even take up this case. Right. Because in order for a case to get to the Supreme Court, it has to lose at the state level, it has to lose at the appellate level, it has to lose so many different times in order for it, and then you have to have grounds for an appeal. What would be the grounds for appeal? The Constitution say you can't run. So if you lose your case, how are you even getting your case appealed? What are the grounds? But yet for some reason he gets every case to be able to get up to the Supreme Court. Somehow it makes it there. And so they've already told him anything he does as president is not illegal as long as it's done in his capacity as president. This is Game of Thrones. Like, we at Red Wedding time. And so I just think we need to be prepared for how this is going to play out. The man is saying what he's going to do. We just got to decide how we going to take this country back.
Right. And the thing about it, everything that's coming out of his mouth is his truth. People can take it as a joke if they want to. It is not a joke. They are seriously, and that Project 2025 is all that you need to know about to see what is taking place in this country. And they are they are very serious about what they are doing. Jill?
BJ was correct. My first thought was, I feel like we're reliving that moment when we were in whatever church that was in Pensacola when we were all on the stage. Jerry, you, I, Derek, Bill, and another young lady. And that man raised his hand and said, they cannot take our veterans' rights away. So when you started talking, I was like, Jerry, but no, he's already there. And I think it is his truth, but his truth is the reality because he has everything in play. The Supreme Court, if they are given the opportunity, for whatever reason, as BJ just said, it should never even get to them. But if it gets there, then he'll still be here. And so my immediate thought was, okay, so now y'all know that he said it. So when he says things, especially in this day and age, he means that's where he thinks he's going. Do you get out and vote? Do you listen to people who tell you that we need people that are going to speak up and fight for us? Or do you go with the status quo? Do you sit at home? Because everything matters. The primary is just the first step. But if we don't get through the first step, then hell on earth it really continues and gets worse. But if we should do what we're supposed to do and get our candidates that are going to represent us and that will stop some of this madness, or at least have a seat at the table to try to figure out how to stop the madness, then it's going to be critical that somehow we all pull together. Because any broken strand right now gives him that fourth term. And yes, Derek, I love your mathematical sense, but in his mind, he really does believe that he won 2020. We snatched it from him. So he's saying, and he was, in charge, but not in charge. He's saying he's not confused. He's confused because it's not true, but I'm saying he's not confused in what he said. He said it because he meant it. He wanted his people to know, yes, I won 2022 and I'm going to do this again. And all I need you to do is get on board now. And they will start getting on board because unlike some of the rest of the political parties, they're able to grasp on to nonsense and make it reality. We can't even grasp on to truth sometimes and do the right thing. And it's frustrating because there's so much work that needs to be done. And there's so much destruction that if we're not thinking like BJ always says on what do we do next, like what is the plan? I'm still broken from the fact that when Kamala got in the race, I'm sure others asked the question, but I asked the question to some high up people and said, what is the plan B and C? Should he win? And then everybody was like, oh, there's no way in the world he's going to win. He's not going to win. We didn't have a plan then. So now, do we have the B, the C, the D, the whatever it is? Are we ready for that? Or are we still thinking there's no way? Like I think somebody, and I don't know who it was, said, I'm sure we'll have somebody run against him. Shit. I don't know anybody who would have been better than Kamala Harris. Come on now. In everything that she has done. And I can't help it that she was a woman and she was Black and all of that. I can't help that. But if she couldn't do it and he had all them felonies, then you all really think that whoever's just going to come in and maybe so, maybe because they'll be of non-color and then people will get behind them, maybe. But if that's the case, then we're just more broken than I think we even realize. And I just, now is the time, if you're 18 to 102 think that's the oldest person left in the United States, the states of America. So you need to be voting. You need to be figuring out where you live, who's running, do the deep dive, figure it out, but do not sit at home. And I would hope, and Jamil, I might have to kick this to you in the capacity that you guys have, that there is a fourth quarter press for what's going to happen after the primary. Because if we're still sitting back thinking that this is not shattering, breaking into a million freaking pieces, if it doesn't turn out the right way and whatever right is for each person, there's trouble coming.
You know, Ed Markey and Ariana Presley has put forth a bill to really, to stop, to end qualified immunity for ICE agents whose intention is to terrorize people at the polls and continue to kill people in the street, executioner style, under the pretense that someone tried to run them over. They jump in front of cars and just start shooting people. Police brutality is back on the rise again in ways where they got people handcuffs and kicking them in the face and shooting them while they have and in front of their 2 and 3 year old children. Just a whole host of things taking place. Lynchings are back, and as soon as it happened, it is, the police are saying that there was suicide, and we know that it's a lie. Just like the case in Mississippi where the young man was drowned, more than likely, and the evidence are coming out now that they were trying to say it was suicide and all that, and the evidence is coming out against what they are saying, and the young man's throat was removed. Come to find out, some of those families had families in the FBI. One was the stepmom is a judge, and just a whole host of things that are being revealed. But they thought it was going to go away and they could cover it up real quickly and get rid of it, but it didn't happen that way. So now information is coming out. Information is coming out in other cases when someone behind a police station is lynched and with cameras everywhere and nobody saw anything. A young lady at school was lynched and behind near a school, cameras everywhere, evidence is being destroyed. I mean, just a whole host of things. Since the last 10 years, there's been over 12 lynchings in this country that has been adjudicated suicide. And we know that how is it that somebody gonna tie their hands behind their back and hang themselves at the same time? So, and then you find out there's bruises all over that person, or they've been, their leg is broken, or arms are broken, or something like that, but they committed suicide. Just a whole host of things that we're gonna have to begin to pay attention to. And I would advise people to not be running with people that, especially by yourself or even one or two. I would advise them not to be hanging out with people that are not like you. That's my advice to parents and their children, to make sure that your children are protected. Don't think that because you can play football or baseball or whatever sports or go to school with certain people that they are not the children of the slave, the great grandchildren of the slaveholders who themselves had picnics at lynchings. So I would advise that. Okay. Back to you, Derek.
All righty then. Well, we have got less than a minute left. Mr. McIntosh, would you like to do your book recommendations?
I definitely want to people because lynching is taking place in this country. This book is called Without Sanctuary. And it got all the pictures of lynching postcards that people sent to people around the country, how they chopped off men's private parts and, and knees and all kinds of stuff that they did, the gruesome things that they did to people, even after death, burning them and all of that. So that book has all of that information in it, over thousands of people that was lynched over the years. And we have to remember that nothing has changed. Everything has changed, but it became more sophisticated now in the new age. So we have to be aware, especially, and inform our young people of what's happening, and don't get too comfortable, because it's an uncomfortable situation right now.
Well, we certainly thank you all for joining us tonight. Please make sure if you're in Santa Rosa County, you go on, it's Monday, right, BJ?
Wednesday.
Go Wednesday to Pedro's, or take one of the opportunities on Tuesday to go in Escambia County, and then on Tuesday in Okaloosa County as well. We thank you for joining us. And don't forget Equal Ground on Saturday. Everybody needs to be in the building at Hearst Chapel, 707 North C Street here in Pensacola. We look forward to seeing you then. Everybody take care. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night.